You guys were right once again. You guys were right once again. And the more I look at these stats that are being highlighted by ESPN and national media, the more I realize that they are excluding Caitlin Clark and erasing her from history once again.
Well, Olivia, you are making history in the WNBA, not just for a rookie, but for any player. The fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists.
The fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists. Wow, this is my first time hearing that actually. So Holly didn't even say it was just for rookies. She said it was for all time. Oh my goodness. They're kind of erasing Caitlin Clark from history to prop up others. They tried it with Paige, Angel Reese, now Olivia Miles. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know what they say, not providing full context is just as good as lying. So, but I'm just here to let you guys know that it's definitely an agenda going on right in front of our face.
The Indiana Fever didn't just beat the Las Vegas Aces. They didn't just win convincingly. They won so dominantly that they broke 9 WNBA records in a single night. 9. Caitlin Clark became the fastest player in history to reach 600 assists, doing it in 72 games when previous records took nearly a decade. Kelsey Mitchell passed one of the greatest shooters in league history. Sophie Cunningham recorded the most efficient 20-point performance in franchise history with a 111% true shooting percentage.
I apologize for not looking into this sooner. There are 2 standards being applied to Caitlin Clark's rookie season and Olivia Miles' rookie season. Olivia Miles' rookie season versus WNBA all-time history.
But before you finish processing all that, there's a 10th record buried in the same box score, and it belongs to Las Vegas. It's an 82-point swing in point differential from one game to the...
Ladies and gentlemen, you guys remember last time when Holly Rowe and Olivia Miles, the last time they got in front of a microphone, and Holly Rowe said Olivia Miles was the fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists, and we debunked that, and we found that to be false. That record actually belongs to Caitlin Clark.
Next, the largest in WNBA history. This is the story of a franchise finally clicking at the same time. This is the story of role players becoming stars. This is the story of depth and ball movement and 5 different scorers hitting shots on the same night. This is what happens when a team stops worrying about individual stats and starts playing like a machine. And in the process, they expose something fundamental.
Well, I did some more digging with the facts that ESPN are posting on social media, talking about after games, about Olivia Miles' stat lines, and I started to realize that they were excluding Caitlin Clark from history. This is insane what's happening, and it's going unaddressed by national media, the sports industry. I don't know how much longer this can continue before someone steps in.
About the 2 franchises walking out of that arena. One team was talking about basketball, the other was making excuses. To understand what happened in this game, you have to understand the context that led to it. The Fever came into this game with Caitlin Clark on a minutes restriction.
Olivia Miles is the fastest player to 350 plus points and 100 assists, passing Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark. Now I said, you know what? Let me do some research into this as well, because if that stat was wrong on national TV, what else could be wrong that they're telling us?
She had been dealing with a back injury, and Stephanie White made a deliberate decision to limit her to 20 to 25 minutes. This wasn't about winning one July game. This was about protecting the franchise's most valuable asset for the stretch run of the season. So going into the game, there was tension. You had the best player in the world.
So I realized something. I said, 350 plus points and 100 assists is interesting. But when we looked at the first one, Holly Rowe said, one more time, rebounds was included. One more time, Holly.
Any player, the fastest to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists.
300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists. But when you look at this stat line right here, it says 350 plus points and only 100 assists. What happens to 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists? Why are we now looking at 350 points and we can't even find the rebounds anymore?
On the floor, but she was on a leash. Every possession felt like it might be her last for the night. The box score wasn't going to capture her full impact because efficiency works.
Once again, as you can see on your screen, they propped up and they increased the threshold to 350 to exclude Caitlin Clark from this one. And then they dropped rebounds entirely. Why? Because Caitlin Clark has 104 and she's eligible for that award when Olivia Miles has yet to crack 100 at this point, right?
Differently than volume. She wasn't out there to pad statistics. She was out there to prove that she could win possessions in a limited window. But then something happened that nobody expected. Not only did Clark dominate her restricted minutes, but she did it alongside.
Once again, on July 13th, ESPN Insights posted Olivia Miles has reached 400 points in her rookie season. Miles is now the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 400 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists. So just like that, ladies and gentlemen, rebounds is right back into the equation.
4 or 5 other players who were also playing at elite levels. It wasn't Clark carrying the team. It wasn't Mitchell putting the offense on her back. It was a complete roster clicking at the same time. It was 6 different players scoring in double figures. It was ball movement and spacing, and everyone doing their job perfectly. And the result was an offensive clinic that broke records and exposed the defensive limitations of the defending champions. The most significant record of the night belongs to Caitlin Clark, and it reveals something profound about how she plays the game and how fast she's progressing relative to the best players in WNBA history. In the third quarter of this game, Clark found a teammate, the ball went in, and she reached 600 career assists. That milestone by itself is significant, but the context is what makes it remarkable. Clark reached 600 assists in 72 games. 72 games. To put that in perspective, Sue Bird, the all-time assist leader in WNBA history, built her assist total over close to 2 decades of basketball. She played game after game, season after season, year after year, accumulating assists gradually over an entire career. Caitlin Clark got to 600 in barely over a season and a half, considering she missed most of her second season due to injury. That's not just a statistical achievement. That's evidence of a player who makes everyone around her better at a pace that's unprecedented in professional basketball. An assist record is different from a scoring record. A scoring record is about one player getting buckets. An assist record is about how fast you make your teammates better. Clark did that faster than anybody who's ever played this game, and what's remarkable is that she's doing it while playing in limited minutes. This game was a perfect example. Clark played 24 minutes. In those 24 minutes, she had 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. On the surface, that looks like a quiet, solid night. But those 24 minutes bought 2 separate WNBA records, the fastest to 600 assists, and, as we'll get into later, the lowest minutes per game for a guard in a 20-point season. The irony that nobody's talking about enough is this. The more Indiana protects Clark's body, the more they limit her minutes, the more they manage her workload, the more insane her permanent numbers start to look on paper. Less time on the floor, same production. The efficiency numbers look like a typo. A guard averaging 20.1 points per game while playing just 29.6 minutes per night. That's the fewest minutes per game ever recorded for a guard in a 20-point season, something no guard in league history has ever done. When you limit a player's minutes, typically their scoring average goes down. The theory is that bench players aren't as good as starters, so when a star player comes off the floor, offensive efficiency drops. But Clark is so efficient in her limited window that the team still scores at a championship level. The bench unit doesn't drop off significantly. The offense doesn't lose rhythm. Clark has structured the team so that anyone can play with anyone and still be effective. That 600th assist comes in the context of a player who's fundamentally changing how women's basketball is played. She's changing how point guards operate. She's changing how teams think about spacing and floor movement. She's changing what's possible for a rookie to accomplish in her first 2 seasons. And what's particularly significant is that she's doing it while being targeted physically at unprecedented rates. She's doing it while absorbing fouls at twice the rate of her peers. She's doing it while being subjected to treatment that would be considered unacceptable in any other professional context. And she's still breaking records. She's still making her teammates better. She's still playing at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The 600th assist is significant for what it represents about Clark's future. If she reaches this milestone in 72 games, what does her career assist total look like? Sue Bird played for nearly 2 decades. Clark could potentially surpass Bird's career total in half the time if she stays healthy. Bird finished with 3,265 assists. If Clark maintains a similar pace, she could reach 5,000 assists in her career. She could rewrite the entire history of the position. But that future is only possible if she stays healthy. That's why the minutes restriction matters. That's why protecting her body matters. The WNBA has been given something special in Caitlin Clark. The league has been given a player who makes everyone around her better, who breaks records, who draws fans, who generates viewership. The last thing the league can afford is to lose her to injury because they didn't manage her workload properly. The 600th assist isn't just a milestone. It's a promise of what's to come. It's evidence that we're watching the beginning of something historic. And the fact that she reached it in limited minutes, while also dealing with physical targeting, while also playing for an organization that's been ambivalent about supporting her, makes it even more remarkable. While Caitlin Clark was chasing history and breaking records, something else was happening on the floor that almost nobody outside Indiana noticed until the numbers popped up on the screen. Kelsey Mitchell was quietly putting together a night just as historic as Clark's, except the spotlight wasn't on her, and she didn't seem to mind. Mitchell dropped 27 points. She doesn't do interviews like it's a press conference for a president. She doesn't chase the spotlight, she just gets buckets. And while everybody in the building was watching Clark chase 600 assists, Mitchell was climbing the Fever record book, one possession at a time, without a single commentator even noticing until the statistics appeared. Here's what makes Mitchell's night remarkable. She broke 4 separate records, and they tell the story of a career that's been built on consistency and excellence rather than flashy individual performances. The first record came relatively early in the night. Mitchell played her 300th career game for the Indiana Fever. That puts her second in franchise history behind only Tamika Catchings. And if you know anything about Indiana basketball, you know that Tamika Catchings' name gets treated like scripture around there. Being second on that list behind Catchings isn't a small thing. Then, stacking on top of that achievement, Mitchell became the 7th all-time in WNBA history for made three-pointers. She passed Katie Douglas with her 729th career three. Look at the names above her on that list, and it reads like a Hall of Fame ballot. Shooters who defined entire eras of this league. And Mitchell just climbed past another one of them like it was routine. But those records, as significant as they are, almost pale in comparison to the streak Mitchell is on. She's in the middle of 38 straight games scoring in double digits. That breaks Tamika Catchings' own franchise record. The streak is still going as of this game. Think about what that actually means. No cold nights, no off games, no matter who's guarding her or what the scouting report says about taking her out of the game plan, Mitchell finds a way to put points on the board. And there's more. Mitchell just picked up her 6th straight game scoring 25 or more points. That puts her 3rd all-time in WNBA history for that kind of streak. She trails Tina Charles, who put together 7 straight back in 2021, and she trails one other name sitting at 8 straight from 2024. That name is Aja Wilson, which means the player Mitchell is chasing down for this record plays for the exact team she just helped blow out on their own scoreboard. Let that sit for a second. Vegas didn't just lose the game, they watched one of their own franchise cornerstones get name-dropped as the target in the box score of their own loss. Vegas heard commentators say that Kelsey Mitchell is chasing Aja Wilson's record. Vegas heard that and had to process that their former champion is now the benchmark that someone on the opposing team is trying to surpass. What makes Mitchell's streak particularly impressive is how quiet it's been. There's no drama. There's no social media presence. There's no controversy. Mitchell just shows up, plays with incredible motor and skill set, and gets buckets. She's got speed that most guards can't match. She's got a motor that doesn't quit. She moves constantly. And she's got the shooting ability to punish defenses at all 3 levels. The reason this keeps happening is simple. Mitchell doesn't just make shots. She makes them over and over, night after night, without missing time or missing rhythm. That's where the real record shows up, not in one big scoring night, but in the streak that keeps refusing to end. What's also remarkable is that Mitchell achieved all of this while still not being the most talked about player on the floor that night. Caitlin Clark got the spotlight. Sophie Cunningham's 111% true shooting percentage captured attention, but Mitchell was quietly stacking records and breaking streaks without the fanfare. And that speaks to what's happening with the Fever as a team. This isn't a one-player show. This isn't Clark carrying everyone. This isn't Mitchell putting the offense on her back. This is a roster where multiple players are excelling simultaneously. And when that happens, when you have Clark breaking assist records, Mitchell breaking scoring streaks, and Cunningham shooting at historic levels all in the same game, that's when a team becomes dangerous. The Fever have finally figured out how to distribute the offensive load across multiple players. They've figured out how to get players in positions where they can succeed. They've figured out how to create spacing and ball movement that allows different scorers to get hot on different nights. And when you can do that, when you have depth and consistency, that's when championships are won. While Caitlin Clark was chasing 600 assists and Kelsey Mitchell was extending scoring streaks, Sophie Cunningham was putting together a performance so efficient that it rewrites the franchise record book in a completely different way. She scored 20 points on just 7 shots. 6 of those shots were three-pointers. 6 threes, 1 miss the entire night. Her true shooting percentage was 111%. Now, that number might seem impossible. How can a true shooting percentage exceed 100%? The answer is in how the stat is calculated. True shooting percentage isn't your regular field goal percentage. It folds in threes and free throws, weighing each shot by how many points it's actually worth, not just whether it went in. A normal great shooting night sits somewhere in the 60s or 70s. Cunningham posted 111%, which basically means every shot she put up was worth more than a normal shot. And nearly all of them went in, especially since most of her shots came from beyond the three-point line. That's about as close to perfect as this sport allows anyone to get. Her actual line, 20 points, 6 of 7 from 3, is now the most efficient 20-point game in Indiana Fever franchise history. A record that includes every great shooter who's ever worn that jersey. But Cunningham's brilliance doesn't stop with this one game. Since joining the Fever in 2025, she's been shooting 43.3% from 3. And that's not just good for her roster. That's the best mark of any player in the entire NBA over that stretch. Every sharp shooter in this league, and Cunningham's the one sitting on top of the list. This season alone, she's shooting 43.5% from deep, a career high, meaning the player with the best three-point stretch in the league is somehow still improving on it in real time. What's remarkable about Cunningham is how she's contributing in a way that's different from Clark and Mitchell. She's not putting up high volume like Clark or Mitchell. She's not creating for others like Clark. She's doing something more specialized. She's stretching the floor at a level that nobody else in the league is matching. She's spacing the defense so that drives for Clark and shots for Mitchell have more room to operate. And in doing that, she's become essential to why this Fever offense is clicking. When you have Cunningham shooting 43% from 3, defenses can't pack the paint. They have to respect the perimeter. They have to stay out on her, and that opens up everything else. It opens up Clark's drives. It opens up space for Mitchell to create. It opens up lanes for role players to attack. The 111% true shooting night is perfect evidence of what Cunningham provides. She gets open looks because defenses respect her shooting. She converts those looks at historic rates because she's an elite shooter, and in doing so, she makes the entire offense function at a higher level. What's interesting is that Cunningham was potentially available on the market because the Fever organization made poor roster decisions earlier in the season. They let Justina Perisseau walk to Las Vegas, but they also made the right decision by acquiring Cunningham. And now, with her shooting at historic levels, the Fever have a complete offensive toolkit. They have a generational passer in Clark. They have a consistent scorer in Mitchell. They have a specialist in Cunningham. And they have complementary players filling in around them. The 111% true shooting percentage is going to be remembered as a historic outlier. It's one of those performances where everything clicked, where luck and skill converged perfectly. But the bigger story is that this wasn't a fluke. Cunningham has been shooting like this all season. She's been providing this level of spacing all season, and as long as she maintains this level of efficiency, the Fever offense is going to be nearly impossible to defend. What's most impressive about this game isn't that 9 records were broken. It's that they were broken by different players playing different roles on the same night. This wasn't one hero putting the team on his or her back. This was 5 or 6 players who used to be role players and specialists, all playing like pieces of the same machine, all in sync on the same night. 6 different Fever players scored in double figures, 6. That's not a concentration of offensive firepower. That's a distribution of offensive load across an entire roster. It means that the game wasn't decided by one player making a superhuman effort. It means that the game was decided by everyone doing their job correctly at the same time. Aaliyah Boston spent the night locking up Aja Wilson defensively, holding her to well below her season averages. And while doing that, Boston still walked away with 19 points and 11 rebounds of her own. That's not a role player having a nice game. That's a starter shutting down a former MVP while still filling up her own stat sheet. That's two-way excellence. Ty Harris chipped in 10 off the bench. Monique Billings matched her with 10 of her own. Neither of them needed to do much talking. The box score did it for them, and they contributed in different ways. Some shot threes, some attacked the rim, some rebounded, some defended. But all of them contributed to the final outcome. The rebounding advantage was 35-28 in Indiana's favor. That's not coming from one player dominating the glass. That's coming from 5 or 6 players all doing their job on the boards. The assists were higher for Indiana. The steals were higher. The turnovers were lower. That's ball movement. That's spacing. That's an offense that functions at a high level because everyone knows their role and executes it. The shooting numbers weren't close either. Indiana shot 56% on twos and 48% from three. Las Vegas managed just 39% and 24% in those same categories. And the Fever hit 18 of 19 free throws, a 95% clip. That doesn't come from a referee's whistle. That comes from a team that's locked in, that's executing, that's playing together. What's particularly significant is that this wasn't a one-dimensional team performance. It's not like Indiana just dominated in one area and squeaked by. Indiana dominated everywhere. Rebounding, ball movement, shooting efficiency, defense, free throw shooting, turnover margin. On every measurable metric, Indiana was significantly better than Las Vegas. And the reason they were significantly better on every metric is because they had 5 or 6 players all playing at high levels simultaneously. When you have that kind of depth, when you have that kind of balance in your offense, you're nearly impossible to defend. You can't key on one player because there are multiple threats. You can't double one scorer because another scorer is open. You can't pack the paint because the perimeter is respected. The Fever have finally figured out how to do this. They have Clark who draws double teams. They have Mitchell who creates off the dribble. They have Cunningham who spaces the floor. They have Boston who plays defense and gets rebounds. They have complementary players who understand their roles and execute them. And when all of those pieces click at the same time, on the same night, the result is dominant basketball. This win isn't just significant because 9 records were broken. It's significant because it shows what the Fever are capable of when everything clicks. Picture the rest of 2026 with Clark fully healthy. Picture Mitchell continuing to extend scoring streaks. Picture Cunningham shooting at levels where nobody's found a ceiling yet. Picture a complete roster clicking at the same time for an entire season. That's what the Fever organization has built. And if they can stay healthy, if they can maintain this level of execution, if they can keep all of these pieces playing together, they're going to be very difficult to beat. The 9 records in one game aren't just statistical achievements. They're proof that this roster is ready for something special. While the Indiana Fever were breaking records and dominating on the floor, there was another historic moment happening on the opposite side of the ledger. Las Vegas didn't just lose this game. They experienced a complete collapse that's unprecedented in WNBA history. And the numbers tell a story that's equal parts impressive for Indiana and embarrassing for Vegas. Go back one game. Las Vegas beat Phoenix by 48 points. 48. That's not a win. That's a demolition. That's the kind of score that makes people start talking about a championship run. The kind of performance that looks like a coronation. Vegas looked unstoppable. Vegas looked like the best team in the league. Vegas looked like defending champions who were going to repeat. Then 2 games later, they walk into Indiana and lose by 34. Same roster, same coach, same league. And somehow the whole identity flipped upside down in 48 hours. Do the math on that swing and it comes out to 82 points. An 82-point difference in point differential from one game to the next. That's not just a bad loss. That's not just an off night. That's the largest swing in WNBA history, not top 5. Not close to it. Number 1 all-time, and Vegas owns it. What makes that stat so revealing is what it says about consistency and depth. A team that can beat someone by 48 one night and then lose by 34 the next night is a team that's not reliable. It's a team that can be great one night and terrible the next. It's a team that doesn't have the consistency to sustain championship-level basketball. And that's exactly what Las Vegas's post-game responses revealed. A'ja Wilson stood up and talked about the whistle. She talked about sketchy officiating. She hinted that Indiana got a special whistle all night. Becky Hammon backed off that angle but went somewhere else, pointing at the schedule and saying her team needed rest. 3 games in 4 days against the fastest team in the league puts pressure on any defense, she said. But here's the thing, the box score doesn't back any of that up. The excuses don't match the statistics. Indiana out-rebounded Las Vegas 35-28. Rebounding position doesn't come from a referee's whistle. Rebounding position comes from effort. It comes from positioning. It comes from wanting it more. The Fever racked up more assists. They had more steals. They had fewer turnovers. Ball movement doesn't come from a whistle. Ball movement comes from spacing. It comes from execution. It comes from a team that's on the same page. The shooting numbers weren't close. Indiana shot 56% on 2s and 48% from 3. Las Vegas managed 39% and 24%. Shooting percentage doesn't come from a whistle. Shooting percentage comes from being open. It comes from good shot selection. It comes from players who can shoot and are given time to shoot. Indiana hit 18 of 19 free throws. That's a 95% clip. That has absolutely nothing to do with officiating bias. That's about pressure. That's about being a good free throw shooting team. The gap between the two teams shows up in the post-game rooms too. Indiana walked out of that arena talking about defense sparking offense, talking about ball movement, talking about keeping the ball popping and getting it reversed until the right shooter found it open. That's a team talking about basketball fundamentals. Meanwhile, Vegas walked out talking about whistles and schedules and fatigue, even as Wilson herself admitted her team just didn't show up, win or lose, back-to-back or a week off. She essentially admitted that the excuses didn't matter. They just weren't good. And that's the part that actually stings for Vegas. The same team that hung 48 points on Phoenix couldn't find an excuse big enough to explain away an 82-point freefall against Indiana. You can blame a whistle for 1 or 2 possessions. You can't blame a whistle for getting out-rebounded, outshot, and out-hustled from the opening tip to the final buzzer. The 82-point swing is significant because it reveals something about the two franchises. One franchise was talking about basketball, one franchise was making excuses. Only one of those franchises builds a champion. 9 records in 1 game, an 82-point swing in point differential, a complete roster clicking at the same time, a generational talent playing in limited minutes and still rewriting the record book, a consistent scorer extending incredible streaks, a specialist shooting at historic efficiency. This game was about more than just statistics. This game revealed what the Indiana Fever are capable of when everything clicks. This game showed that the Fever aren't a one-player team. This game showed that they have depth, balance, and the ability to dominate on multiple fronts simultaneously. And in the process, it exposed something about Las Vegas. It exposed that when things go wrong, Vegas resorts to excuses instead of accountability. It exposed that depth of character matters. It exposed that the team talking about basketball fundamentals will beat the team making excuses. The Fever are special. They have special players in special places doing special things. Clark is breaking records. Mitchell is extending streaks. Cunningham is shooting at historic levels. Boston is dominating defensively while contributing offensively. And role players are stepping up and hitting open shots. If the Fever can stay healthy, if they can maintain this level of execution, if they can keep all of these pieces playing together through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, they're going to be very difficult to beat. The 9 records aren't just statistical achievements. They're evidence of something much bigger. They're evidence that a franchise has finally figured out how to win at the highest level.